The Fact Finders, Episode 7, The Case of the Missing Mascot, by Sylvester Scoe-Forru. Billy Bob's electric scooter hummed along the cracked sidewalk of Mobile's historic district, his backpack bouncing against his shoulders as he navigated around fallen magnolia leaves. 10 years old, he was already a junior at Theodore Money High School, having skipped 5 grades thanks to his extraordinary gift with computers. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the pavement as he headed toward the old library building where the Fact Finders held their weekly meetings. That's when he heard it, a weak, pitiful whimper coming from behind a dumpster in the alley next to Patterson's hardware store. Billy Bob skidded to a stop, his sneakers scraping against the concrete. "Hello?" he called out, peering into the dim alley. Another whimper, followed by a soft whine. He dismounted his scooter and cautiously approached the dumpster. There, huddled against the brick wall, was a hound dog, female by the looks of her, with matted brown and white fur, ribs showing through her thin coat, and the saddest eyes Billy Bob had ever seen. "Oh no," he whispered, kneeling slowly. "Hey there, girl. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The dog's tail gave a tentative wag, but she was too weak to stand. Billy Bob quickly pulled out his phone and called Fifi. "Billy Bob, you're going to be late for the meeting," Fifi answered, her voice carrying that characteristic twin detective authority. "Fifi, I found a dog. She's in bad shape. Really bad. Can you and Gigi meet me at the alley behind Patterson's hardware? And bring Wanda, we might need her veterinary knowledge." "We'll be right there," Fifi said without hesitation. Within 10 minutes, all 4 fact finders had gathered around the trembling hound dog. Fifi and Gigi, the 16-year-old twin detectives who had solved more cases than the Mobile Police Department cared to admit, immediately took charge. Gigi gently examined the dog, while Wanda, the other 10-year-old prodigy who had skipped grades alongside Billy Bob, checked for injuries with the careful precision that had made her the top of their biology class. "She's dehydrated and malnourished," Wanda announced, her dark eyes filled with concern. "But I don't see any serious injuries. We need to get her water and food slowly." "Let's take her to the clubhouse," Fifi decided. "We can nurse her back to health there." Billy Bob carefully lifted the dog. She was lighter than she should have been, and the group made their way to the old groundskeeper's cottage behind Theodore Money High School that served as the Fact Finders' headquarters. Over the next week, the Fact Finders devoted themselves to nursing the hound dog back to health. They took turns staying with her, feeding her small amounts of food, giving her water, and showering her with affection. Billy Bob used his computer skills to check for missing dog reports, but found nothing. Wanda researched proper nutrition for recovering dogs. Fifi and Gigi made sure she had comfortable bedding and a warm place to sleep. By the end of the week, the dog had gained weight, her coat had begun to shine, and her tail wagged constantly. She had also developed a particular fondness for howling, a long, melodious Roxy sound that gave them the perfect name. "Roxy it is," Gigi declared, scratching behind the dog's long, floppy ears. It was during their next official meeting, with Roxy curled up contentedly on a dog bed in the corner, that Wanda unveiled her latest project. "I've been thinking about team organization," Wanda announced, pulling out a large poster board. "I created this hierarchy chart, arranged like the pyramids on Dance Moms." She revealed the board with a flourish. At the top was a photo of Fifi and Gigi side by side, labeled lead detectives. Below them, on the second tier, were photos of Billy Bob and Wanda, labeled junior detectives and technical specialists. And at the bottom, in a position of honor, was a photo they'd taken of Roxy, labeled morale officer and mascot. Billy Bob felt his cheeks warm as he looked at Wanda's proud smile. She was brilliant, creative, and the only person at Theodore High who understood what it was like to be 10 years old in a school full of teenagers. "I love it," Fifi said, studying the board. "Very organized." Very. The door to the clubhouse burst open, and Principal Hargrove rushed in, his face flushed and his usually neat tie askew. "Fact finders. Thank goodness you're here." Principal Hargrove was a tall man with graying hair and a usually calm demeanor, but today he looked absolutely frantic. "It's Theodore the Tiger," he gasped. "Our mascot costume, it's been stolen." Fifi and Gigi exchanged glances. "When did this happen?" Fifi asked, pulling out her detective notebook. "Sometime between last night and this morning." Costume was in the athletic storage room, locked up as always. But when Coach Morrison went to get it for today's pep rally, it was gone. The lock had been picked. "That's a serious theft," Gigi said. "The homecoming game is this Friday. Without the mascot costume, the whole event could be ruined." "Exactly." Principal Hargrove wrung his hands. "That costume cost the school $5,000. It's custom-made, and there's no way we can get a replacement before Friday. The Alumni Association is furious. The students are devastated, and the school board is demanding answers." Billy Bob was already typing on his laptop. "I can pull up the security camera footage from the athletics building." "That's the problem," Principal Hargrove said miserably. "Cameras in that hallway have been malfunctioning for the past 3 days. We were waiting for the repair company to come fix them." "Convenient," Fifi murmured. "Very convenient." "We'll take the case," Gigi announced. "Fact finders, we have a mystery to solve." Roxy let out a supportive howl. The fact finders began their investigation immediately. The athletic storage room was located in the oldest part of Theodore Money High School, down a dim hallway that smelled of old gym mats and floor polish. Yellow caution tape now blocked the entrance. "The lock was definitely picked," Billy Bob observed, examining the mechanism with a magnifying glass. "See these scratches? Someone used a tension wrench and a pick. This wasn't an amateur job. Who has access to this hallway after hours?" Wanda asked, taking notes. Fifi consulted her list. According to Principal Hargrove, the janitorial staff, Coach Morrison, the athletics director, Ms. Chen, and any teacher with a master key. Their first interview was with Coach Morrison, a burly man with a whistle permanently around his neck and a Theodore Tigers baseball cap on his head. "I can't believe someone would do this," Coach Morrison said, shaking his head. "That costume is the heart and soul of our school spirit. I've been coaching here for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like it. Where were you last night between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m.? Gigi asked. Coach Morrison's face reddened. "Are you suggesting I'm a suspect?" "I would never. We have to ask everyone," Fifi said calmly. "It's standard procedure. I was at home with my wife. We watched a movie and went to bed around 10. Can anyone verify that?" Billy Bob asked. "My wife, of course. And probably my neighbors. Our dog barked at a raccoon around midnight and I had to go outside to quiet him down. The Hendersons next door probably heard the whole thing." The fact finders thanked him and moved on to their next suspect, Ms. Chen, the athletics director. They found her in her office, surrounded by paperwork and looking exhausted. "This is a nightmare," Ms. Chen said, rubbing her temples. Do you know how much paperwork is involved in reporting a theft like this? And the insurance company is asking a million questions. Where were you last night? Fifi asked. Miss Chen's eyes narrowed. I was here, actually, working late on budget reports. I left around 9 p.m. Did you see anyone else in the building? Just Mr. Pettigrew, the night janitor. He was mopping the main hallway when I left. And you didn't go near the athletics storage room? No. Why would I? I have my own key and I had no reason to access the costume. After interviewing Miss Chen, they spoke with Mr. Pettigrew, the night janitor, a quiet man in his 60s who seemed genuinely upset about the theft. I take pride in keeping this school safe, he said, his voice trembling slightly. I do my rounds every night, checking doors and windows, but I never saw anything suspicious. What time did you check the athletics hallway? Gigi asked. Around 10 p.m. like always. The storage room door was locked, just as it should be. And you didn't see anyone else in the building? Mr. Pettigrew hesitated. Well, I did see someone leaving through the side door around 10:30, but it was dark and I couldn't make out who it was. I assumed it was a teacher working late. Can you describe them at all? Billy Bob pressed. Medium height, wearing dark clothing. That's all I could see. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. As the investigation continued, more suspects emerged. There was Derek Stallworth, the senior who had been rejected from wearing the mascot costume this year in favor of his rival, Jenny Martinez. Derek had been vocal about his disappointment, even starting a petition to have the decision reversed. I wanted to be Theodore the Tiger, Derek admitted when they questioned him in the cafeteria. But I didn't steal the costume. What would be the point? If there's no costume, nobody gets to wear it. Maybe that's exactly the point, Wanda suggested. If you can't have it, nobody can. Derek's face flushed with anger. That's ridiculous. I'm not some petty criminal. Check my social media. I was at a party last night until 2 a.m. Plenty of witnesses. Billy Bob made a note to verify Derek's alibi. Then there was Jenny Martinez herself, the junior who had won the coveted role of mascot. She seemed genuinely distraught about the theft. I've been practicing my routine for weeks, Jenny said, tears streaming down her face. This was supposed to be the highlight of my high school career. Why would I steal the costume I'm supposed to wear? Maybe you got cold feet? Gigi suggested gently. Stage fright? No. I love performing. Ask anyone. I'm in the drama club, the dance team, everything. This doesn't make any sense. The fact-finders also discovered that the school's rival, Williamson High, had a history of pranks against Theodore. Their mascot was the Williamson Wildcats, and the rivalry between the two schools was legendary. We should investigate the Williamson connection, Fifi said during an emergency meeting at the clubhouse. Roxy was lying at Billy Bob's feet, her presence somehow making the complicated case feel more manageable. Billy Bob pulled up social media posts from Williamson students. Look at this, there's been a lot of trash talk online about Friday's game. Some of these posts are pretty aggressive. But would they really steal our mascot costume? Wanda wondered. That seems extreme even for a rivalry. People do extreme things for school pride, Gigi pointed out. They decided to investigate further. Billy Bob hacked into, access through legitimate security vulnerabilities, as he preferred to call it, the Williamson High School's security system and found something interesting. "Look at this," he said, turning his laptop around. 3 Williamson students were caught on camera near Theodore High last night around 9:30 p.m. The footage showed 3 teenagers in Williamson leather jackets walking past the school, laughing and pointing at the building. "That's suspicious," Fifi said. "Very suspicious." The fact-finders confronted the 3 Williamson students, Tyler, Marcus, and Ashley, the next day. They found them at the public library, studying for exams. "Yeah, we were near Theodore last night," Tyler admitted with a shrug. "So what? It's a free country." "What were you doing there?" Gigi demanded. "Just walking around talking trash about Friday's game. We didn't do anything illegal." "Did you see anyone else near the school?" Wanda asked. Ashley exchanged glances with her friends. "Actually, yeah. We saw someone coming out of the side entrance. They were carrying something big like a large bag or bundle." "Can you describe them?" Billy Bob asked eagerly. "Not really," Marcus said. "They were wearing all black, including a hood. They got into a dark car and drove off before we could get a good look." "What time was this?" Fifi pressed. "Maybe 10:45? We were heading home from the movies." This was a crucial lead. Someone had left the school carrying something large around the time the costume was stolen. But who? Back at the clubhouse, the fact-finders reviewed all their evidence. Roxy seemed to sense their frustration, nuzzling each of them in turn. "Let's look at this logically," Fifi said, standing in front of Wanda's pyramid board. "We have multiple suspects, but no clear motive that makes complete sense. Coach Morrison loves the school, no motive," Gigi ticked off on her fingers. "Miss Chen needs the costume for her job, no motive. Mr. Pettigrew has worked here for decades, no motive. Derek has an alibi. Jenny would be hurting herself. The Williamson students saw someone else." "We're missing something," Billy Bob said, staring at his computer screen. "There's a piece of this puzzle we haven't found yet." Wanda suddenly sat up straight. "Wait. What if we're thinking about this all wrong? What if the theft isn't about the homecoming game at all?" "What do you mean?" Fifi asked. "What if someone stole the costume for a completely different reason? What if the timing is just a coincidence?" "But what other reason could there be?" Gigi wondered. Billy Bob's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Let me check something." He pulled up the school's financial records, another one of his legitimate access situations. "Look at this. The costume was insured for $5,000, but according to this invoice I found, the school actually paid $7,000 for it 2 years ago." "Insurance fraud?" Fifi said slowly. "Someone steals the costume, the school files a claim, and someone pockets the difference? But who would have access to both the costume and the insurance paperwork?" Wanda asked. They all looked at each other as the same realization dawned. "Miss Chen," Gigi whispered. "The athletics director handles all the insurance claims." The fact-finders rushed to confront Miss Chen, but when they arrived at her office, they found it empty. Her computer was still on, and papers were scattered across her desk as if she'd left in a hurry. "This looks bad," Billy Bob said, examining the office. "Really bad." But then Roxy, who had accompanied them, started barking urgently at something under the desk. Wanda bent down and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. "It's a note," she said, smoothing it out. "It says, 'I know what you did.' Meet me at the old gymnasium at midnight, or I'll tell everyone." "This isn't insurance fraud," Fifi said slowly. "This is blackmail." "But blackmail about what?" Gigi wondered. Billy Bob was already typing. "Let me dig deeper into Miss Chen's background." His eyes widened. "Oh no. Oh, this isn't good. Miss Chen has a gambling problem. She's in debt to some very dangerous people. I'm finding court records, liens on her property, everything." "So she did steal the costume to sell it?" Wanda asked. "Maybe," Fifi said. "Or maybe someone else stole it and is now blackmailing her about something else entirely." They decided to stake out the old gymnasium that night. The building had been closed for renovations for the past year, making it the perfect location for a clandestine meeting. Hidden behind old bleachers with Roxy quiet beside them, the fact-finders waited. At 11:55 p.m., Miss Chen arrived, looking terrified. She paced back and forth, checking her watch constantly. At exactly midnight, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Principal Hargrove. "Principal Hargrove?" Miss Chen's voice shook. "You sent the note?" "I know about your gambling debts, Linda," Principal Hargrove said coldly. "I know you've been embezzling money from the athletics budget for months." The fact-finders exchanged shocked glances. This was not what they'd expected. "I was going to pay it back," Miss Chen said desperately. "I just needed time." Hargrove laughed bitterly. "The school board is conducting an audit next week. They're going to discover everything. Unless what? Unless we have a convenient scapegoat. A theft that explains where the money went. I stole the mascot costume, Linda. And I'm going to make sure everyone thinks you did it." "You can't do this," Miss Chen cried. "I already have. I planted evidence in your office, receipts, emails, everything pointing to you. When the costume mysteriously reappears after you've been arrested, I'll be the hero who recovered it. And the missing money will be explained as your attempt to cover your gambling debts." "But why?" Miss Chen whispered. "Why would you do this?" "Because I've been embezzling too," Hargrove said simply. "Much more than you. I've been taking money from the school for years, from the building fund, the scholarship fund, and everywhere else. But when the audit was announced, I needed a way to cover my tracks. You were the perfect patsy." "That's enough," Fifi said, stepping out from behind the bleachers. The other fact-finders followed, with Roxy growling softly at Hargrove. Principal Hargrove's face went white. "What are you doing here?" "Solving a mystery," Gigi said. "Billy Bob, did you get all that?" Billy Bob held up his phone, which had been recording the entire conversation. Every word. Hargrove's expression changed from shock to anger. "You think anyone will believe a recording made by children? I'm the principal of this school. I have credibility, respect, and a dark blue sedan registered in your name," Billy Bob interrupted, "which matches the description of the car the Williamson students saw leaving the school the night of the theft. I pulled the traffic camera footage. Your car was in the area at exactly 10:45 p.m. Plus," Wanda added, "we found the mascot costume in your garage. Roxy led us right to it this afternoon." She held up her phone, showing photos of the costume hidden under a tarp. "You broke into my house?" Hargrove sputtered. "We had probable cause," Fifi said calmly. "And we called Officer Martinez before we entered. Everything was done legally. As if on cue, police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Hargrove looked around desperately, but there was nowhere to run. The fact-finders had him surrounded, and Roxy's growl had turned into a full-throated bark. "I would have gotten away with it," Hargrove said bitterly as the police cars pulled up, "if it weren't for you meddling kids and your dog." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Principal Hargrove was arrested and charged with embezzlement, theft, and attempted fraud. Ms. Chen, facing her own charges for the embezzlement she had committed, agreed to testify against Hargrove in exchange for a lighter sentence and mandatory treatment for her gambling addiction. The mascot costume was returned to the school in time for the homecoming game, and Jenny Martinez performed a lifetime performance as Theodore the Tiger. Theodore High won the game 28-21, and the crowd erupted in celebration. The fact-finders were celebrated as heroes. The school board awarded them a commendation, and the local newspaper ran a front-page story about how 4 young detectives, and 1 very special dog, had solved the case that stumped everyone else. "I still can't believe it was Principal Hargrove all along," Wanda said during their celebration meeting at the clubhouse. "He seemed so trustworthy." "That's what made him the perfect criminal," Fifi explained. "Nobody suspects the person in charge." "The clues were there all along," Gigi added. "The malfunctioning cameras. He probably sabotaged them himself. His immediate panic when the costume was discovered missing. He was worried about his plan falling apart. And his insistence that we solve the case quickly. He wanted Ms. Chen arrested before the audit could reveal his own crimes." Billy Bob scratched Roxy behind the ears. "We couldn't have solved it without Roxy. She's the one who found the note under Ms. Chen's desk, and she led us to the costume in Hargrove's garage." "She's a true fact-finder," Wanda agreed, looking at the pyramid board on the wall. "Morale officer and mascot, and now detective dog." Roxy howled her approval and everyone laughed. "You know what the best part is?" Billy Bob said, glancing at Wanda with a shy smile. "We make a pretty good team," Wanda smiled back. "The best team." Fifi and Gigi exchanged knowing looks. "All right, fact-finders," Fifi said. "Case closed. But something tells me this won't be our last mystery." "Bring it on," Gigi said confidently. "We're ready for anything." Roxy barked in agreement, and the fact-finders raised their juice boxes in a toast to their success, to their friendship, and to whatever mysteries lay ahead. The sun set over Mobile, Alabama, casting golden light through the windows of the old groundskeeper's cottage. Inside, 4 young detectives and 1 rescued hound dog celebrated their victory, knowing that wherever there was injustice, wherever there was mystery, the fact-finders would be there to solve it. And they all lived happily ever after, at least until the following case came along. The end. I hope you like this story by Sylvester Sco-Foru. To hear the complete series, go to Sco Media's YouTube channel and click on All and hear the complete series. Hargrove's expression changed from shock to anger. "You think anyone will believe a recording made by children? I'm the principal of this school. I have credibility, respect, and a dark blue sedan registered in your name," Billy Bob interrupted, which matches the description of the car the Williamson students saw leaving the school the night of the theft.